Hey guys, so a little bit of an odd video today. No, it's typically not what you see on my channel, but I felt like it was very important to do an update. Ian has got a diagnosis of X-linked Agammaglobulinemia. Say that 3 times fast. For short, it's XGA. It is a genetic defect that he was born with. He got very sick after about 1.5 years of life. I'd nursed him as a child, so the doctor said typically somebody with his condition should have been dead in the first year of life, but Ian was pretty healthy until I weaned him, and then after that he just stayed really sick, all kinds of things going on, couldn't figure out what was wrong, and ultimately he got diagnosed. Come back over here. It's still rolling, you better come back. Ultimately, he got diagnosed whenever he was 6 years old. So now you're how old, Ian?
13.
So now he's 13. So we've done one of these videos before, and it was the medication that he was on then. What was you on? Hyquvia? No, you wasn't. Hyzentra. Hyzentra was the medicine that he was on then. And he was a little guy. Sit back down here. You're not getting out of this. So now he is on a medication called Hyquvia. So I thought we would do an updated video about how infusion works. It's really cool because back in 2018, Hyquvia was not approved for kids. And so Ian went through a clinical trial, and we went to the hospital every time he got infusion for a while. And ultimately, it was because of the clinical trial of other kids that went through it as well that showed that it does work well for kids. And so now Hyquvia is approved in use for children. So it's kind of really cool that Ian got to be a part of that, and that's how he discovered that this medicine worked really good for him. Don't shake it up. His Hyzentra that he was on before, he had to take every 2 weeks. It's crazy how it works. The medication goes under the skin in the fatty tissue between the skin and the muscle. So before they come out with this is the Hyquvia that he takes now. This first dose of medication that you see right here, the little vial, is an acid that essentially opens up a pocket between his skin and his muscle layer so that it can receive all of this medicine. So I don't know if you can tell how big this is. He's on a really big nose now because he's growing, of course, and he's getting older. I'm just gonna see if I can see how big this was. This is 200 milliliters, and so his first one is that he takes is 10 ml. So a total of 210 ml of medication that he takes. So this thing is as big as my hand of medicine. So we're gonna switch the camera around. We're gonna kind of show you how it works. As a mom who had a child that was newly diagnosed, I was scared to death, so I feel it's very important to do these videos for other people who have been newly diagnosed to see what it's like. Ian, I think he would agree, he hates doing infusions. Don't you hate it? But it only takes 1.5 hours to 2 hours now, once a month, for him to get his medication, and he runs really good. Does really good. He does have some typical side effects for a day or two afterwards, which is normal for the medication, all that good stuff. So you got anything you want to tell anybody? Maybe somebody who just got diagnosed and they're scared? Nothing at all?
Just be prepared.
Be prepared. But you feel much better now, right, that you get infusion?
Yeah.
Like, he's hardly ever sick. We just got over an illness, actually, and he fights it like a trooper. He lived on antibiotics every 2 weeks, and then he'd be off a week, and he was right back on antibiotics. So since he started getting his treatment, he is healthy as a horse for the most part. He has to go at minimum twice a year to his infectious disease doctor for him to run numbers and make sure everything is good. That is because he has not had hospitalizations or infections. If at any point he goes to getting more infections or hospitalizations, he would have to go more frequently. But so far, the Hyquvia has been amazing. So we're going to switch it around. He does have to do pre-meds. When he first started getting infusion, I'm kind of doing what I've already done in another video, but we had to go to the hospital for every infusion for a long time until his system got immunity back again, because they didn't know how his body was going to react to getting all of the stuff that's in this plasma. But now he does very good with it. He takes pre-meds of Tylenol. He takes pre-meds of Benadryl. He does prefer that we numb the area where the needles are going to go in the legs with lidocaine. And we do all of that stuff about 45 minutes to an hour before we start infusing. Then I prepare the infusion and he sits down for it. So we always keep his EpiPen on hand because we don't never know if his body's going to react to what he's getting. And hydration is really important. He has to drink a lot of fluid a couple of days before and a couple of days after to make sure that he doesn't end up with a blood clot. So that's pretty much, I mean, there's so much for you to know. If you are somebody who's watching this and it's because a family member has been newly diagnosed, please message me below. I will be happy to talk with you privately and answer anything you want to know. We do have a community of other folks like Ian. His disease is rare, but there is folks out there that you can get plugged into and talk to other moms and other kids and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna quit talking. Don't have no makeup or nothing on this evening and I'm burning up. So just an impromptu video. I'm gonna turn it around. Ian's gonna record. I'm gonna show you really quick how we prepare his medication. And we'll show you kind of how it works and all that good stuff. Nothing else you want to say?
No.
No? Okay. So hang on. We're going to switch the camera around. I'm trying to figure out if we can turn. Well, we can't turn it around. All right. So, Ian, you're going to have to kind of sit right here and hold it like this. You want to come over here on the other side? Okay. So this is his packet of stuff that comes. Now that he gets infusion 1 time per month. This is everything for 1 infusion. So the first thing is I have washed my hands, so I do have clean hands. And we're going to create a sterile work surface. So that's what this is. And then I'm going to explain these as we pull them out. So the first thing that we're pulling out is his bicathenated needles. What this is it is a tube. And on one end of the tube, it hooks to his IV line, and on the other end of it, it is a double set of needles so that one can go in one spot on his body and the other one can go in the other spot on his body. So Ian likes to infuse in his legs. So one of these will go in one leg and one of these will go in the other leg. So this is called Tegaderm. Ian's allergic to it. It's supposed to hold the needles to the skin. We have to use something different, and I'll show you that in just a minute. The next thing that we have is a 30 ml syringe. This is to put the they call it HY, in his line and in his legs before the medicine actually starts going in. The next thing that we have is actually the IV tubing. This hooks to his bag, IV bag that has the medication in it, through his IV pump, and then connects to these bicathenated needles that are then in his leg. We then have his needle to pull the medication out of the vial into this 30 ml tube. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on. Okay, so sorry we hooked that without being on camera. The next thing that we have got is his IV 3000. And for some reason they only sent 2. I talked to them about that. This is what will actually hold the needles to the skin. We've got his sponges. He has currently got his lidocaine on his legs, so this is used to clean that off of his legs. This next thing is his IV bag and his drain tube. Get it out. So the IV bag, and then the drain tube. There's also a clamp in here. Can you see what you're doing, buddy? And I'll show you how that works in a minute. And then we've got extra batteries in case the pump needs it, which at this moment does not. And then we have an extra needle in case we need it. So the first step that we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the medication in the, go ahead and get his high prepared. Can you see what you're doing, buddy? Let me get up and grab something really quick. All right, had to switch views. My cameraman's arm got tired. So I have taken the lid off of the medications, cleaning that top lid. Since we already have the syringe prepared, I'm going to actually stick that in here, and we're going to drain out what's called the Hy. This is the acid that goes in the skin first in order for it to open up a pocket of medication. So that his other medicine can go into that pocket. It's really hard to do this and record at the same time. Sorry that this is not a great angle, but it is what it is. All right, so I always get the bubbles out as much as I can. I'm very careful about being sterile with all of this stuff. So whenever I make connections, I clean. And then I'm actually hooking it to the tubing that is attached to the needles that will go in his leg. And then I have to prime this line. So I have to hold it like this so that I can see the medicine going through it. It's very hard to see, and if you push too hard, too fast, you'll squirt the medicine out through these needles. I don't know if you can tell the needles are there. Let me see if I can make this where you can see better. Make it focus. Anyway, please don't do that. So the needles are in here, and I've got to get the medicine through here. All right, so I've got one right here. And when it gets close to the edge, there is clamps. And I clamp it off. This one is not as far up, so I'm just going to primer it a little bit more. And then I'm going to clamp this off. And then, so now what we do is I'm going to get this in his legs. He will administer this while I prepare the rest of his medicine. So if you'll give me just a second, we're going to get it moved where you can actually see this next process. If you're queasy and you don't want to see these needles go in his legs, you might want to turn it. But otherwise, stay tuned. And you can see how this actually works. Hang on just a second. Okay, so Ian does it in his legs. Again, we have been doing infusions now for 7.5 years. So we know what works on Ian and what doesn't. We went over this with his doctor, so it is what it is. We know what we're doing. So this is a pro tip from my mama. When you take this off, it very quickly leaves a little place that you can tell where it's been. But then after you wipe it and clean it, you can't tell. So I always take a pen and kind of mark the parameters of where it was so that I make sure that I get it in the numbed area. So this is just the numbing cream, and we're removing it. And we're going to take the sponge and clean his leg really good. Clean that off. And we're going to take alcohol wipes. And I've kept my eye on where that spot was. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and mark it. So I know you can't hardly see that, but I can. I'm going to clean it again. Let it dry for a second. This is the IV 3000. This is a replacement if you know of somebody who's allergic to Tegaderm. This will not break Ian out like the Tegaderm will. All right, so bring this over. Can I still see Ian? All right, if you're quingy, you can look away. If you're not quingy, you can keep watching. But here's where the needle is. Let me see if you can make sure you can see that. Yeah, there it is. So you take this, and that is the needle that's going in his leg. So I pull the skin and pull it up, and I'm making sure I'm in that spot that is numb, and stick the needle in. And then now these little butterflies lay down, and I put this over top of it. Ian does not like for this to be too tight, because as the medicine goes in, this does swell out. So if you put it too tight initially, it's really sore on him when the infusion gets to going. This is the hardest part of the whole thing, is getting this peeled once it's on here. Okay, so I'll leave it there for a minute to stick. Now, on the IV3000, there are these little tabs, and Ian has come close to yanking out needles before, so we just always tape this to his leg, and that's one. So hang on, we'll show you the next one. All right, so this one, we're just gonna kind of do it, and you can watch. We're gonna basically do the exact same thing on the other side. Come on. Did it pop you? Huh?
Mm-mm.
I know my hand's in the way. I'm sorry. It's hard to do it left-handed. Okay, clean it up one more time. Okay, other needle. Can you hold that for me? Can't really tell about the camera angle, so if it's not great, sorry, but you seen it on the first one, so. Okay. The main thing about infusion is the pre-meds make him irritable. I think that's a lot of the problems that we have with infusion. His legs do feel full. Obviously, he's getting a lot of fluid in a small space. So for a day or two after infusion, his legs feel really weird. And so he doesn't really want to be up walking around too much, because he says he feels like he has jello in his legs. Other than that, sometimes he does get nauseous afterwards and have headaches afterwards. We have found that if he is properly hydrated, that does minimize it. But the plasma that he gets comes from thousands of people. So it very well could be there's something in the plasma that doesn't really agree with his body, what's going on. But anyway, so right now we're just a little over 10 ml of medication. He has to administer this within a 10-minute time period. So he will slowly do that. And then while he's doing this, because he can tell when he needs to slow down or speed up or whatever, while he does this, I actually prepare the rest of the medicine. So I'm going to take him off camera, let him do this, and I'll switch it to where you can see me prepare the rest of his treatment. Okay, so this is the last step, and I always do this. So this is, one end of this attaches to his IV bag, and these end, you can get these as single, double, triple. This, in essence, will stick into his medication to where that it will drain in his IV bag. So I don't know why I'm just talking so much and I don't just show you. So it's important that all of these ports stay sterile, untouched. So I keep my hands free and clear from that area. So it's now attached to the IV bag. And we're gonna bring over his great big glob of medicine. Look, it is literally as big as my hand. And we're going to clean the top of this with alcohol. And only one of these is needed, but they don't have two. So there is a clamp on here, so I will clamp off the one that we are not using. And I will actually hold it in my hand with the one we are using. So this I'll take off, and it sticks down into here. Again, keeping my hands clear from all of these sterile areas. And this flips upside down, like this. And there is an air thing right here you open so that the medicine will start draining. You can see it bubbling. Hopefully you can see it. Yep. And so it's actually draining down into his IV bag. So I'm just going to hold this up here so you can see it coming down in here. So it's draining from out of this vial, down this tube, into his IV bag. And we're about halfway through the bottle. You can see the air bubbles going down the tube now. So we have this much medicine drained out of his vial. And I just keep holding it because this is what we call liquid gold. All of this plasma's draining down. You can see the bubbles here, here, and here. Just medicine creeping down. So I just let it drain. Make sure we get it all. His treatments are not cheap. His last month invoice was over $12,000. Obviously, that will be run through insurance, but 1 month of medication and supplies was $12,000. So now that that is all drained out, you can see that has been replaced with bubbles. It's completely empty. Now I've got all the medicine in his bag. I'm going to take this clamp back. I'm going to untwist this line, keeping my hands clean from it, not touching it. I always do this the wrong way. There we go. Putting that back on there. Then it comes with a, let me move this out of the way. Sorry, you can't see very well. Comes with a clamp. So to keep it from leaking out of this, we put this clamp on. We pinch his bag, and I kind of like to do it up closer so that no medicine gets down in that tube and gets wasted. So now the last thing that we do, how's it coming over there? Are you getting it going in?
Yeah.
Okay. So this line you have to make sure is untangled. This is where the medicine will come out of and attaches to the tube in his legs. So we just feed that all the way down. And this right here is what is going to go into the IV bag. And again, keeping all of these ports sterile. So this first thing that we're going to do is we're going to twist this cap off because this is where this is going to stick. Again, have to keep everything really clean, not touch the surfaces. Break that off. Then I have to pull this loose, and this goes into the IV bag. It's really tough to get in there. You have to make sure it goes all the way in. So, all right. So now this is attached to this line. And we now have to put this through his pump. So let me get that out and show you how that works. So I'm just going to lay this down. This is his pump. He uses the Curlin pump, medical pump. It comes already programmed from the pharmacy, but I do have to actually prime the medicine through the line. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And there's really no need of me showing this part because it just is what it is. So it's coming on. It's going through its checks, make sure that everything is right. And then, so everything is good. I'm gonna turn it back off, excuse me. And then now we're gonna feed this through. So there is a little hole in here that this blue thing goes through, and you stick it in. And then this twists off and goes down in the pump over here. This is so that the pump can actually squeeze the little spring that's in there. So now we have the pump is now hooked to the IV bag, so it's going through the pump. And this is where it gets kind of hard to do. So I'm going to hold this with my hand. I'm going to turn the pump on. Ian does have an IV pole. He doesn't like the IV pole, so we put it in a bag that he carries around, and I'll show you that in just a second. All right, so I'm gonna go to prime. It's going through all of its checks. And it will eventually get to the screen where I can prime it. Is it coming? Oh, you've already got it in? All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is prime the line. I am literally just watching for the air bubbles to flow down this tube. This is hard for me to show you one-handed, but I'm just gonna hold prime. And it keeps priming the line. And I'm watching it come through the tube. Sorry, I can't really show you that on camera. Why in the world? Okay. Okay, that's really odd. All right. Sometimes this pump works really strange. It's like sometimes you don't have to prime it and sometimes you do. Did you see that? Yeah, the medicine's already there. Okay. Again, I don't understand why half the time it does one thing and half the time it does another, but go figure. All right, so it is already primed. So we are going to take this over to Ian and hook this to him. Ian, can you hold this for me? I've not paused it, so you just want to hold it for me for a second. All right, so all we do is unhook this line from this, hook this line to this, and then we start his program. Let me put this in this bag to show you this. So this is his little bag that we put it in. That's his pump beeping, wanting to know what we're doing. Why are we taking so long? Alright, so now Ian's medicine, or his pump is in his bag, and his medicine is here. just hooks onto here. And then I'm gonna tell it to start. Sorry you're not seeing anything. Bear with me just a second. All right. So here is everything, and Ian can now get rid of the syringe. He is all hooked up. His line is hooked up. His pump is here. His medicine is here. So he can put this on his arm. So I'm gonna hold it and you can show him, EP. Put it on your arm, and you got your line. What's your line?
It's wet.
Yeah, it's okay. Hold this. Got it? All right. So you want to stand up and show them? All right, hang on, buddy. Make sure we can see you. So there you are, my nasty table. And then he's got his medicine on his bag, on his side, hanging there. And it's going in his legs. And then that is it. So it's not too bad, is it? No, not too bad. We've been doing it for a long time, haven't we? Hadn't missed not one single infusion. And I'm happy that my boy is much better than what he used to be. So that is infusion with Hyquvia. When he's done, I'll try to take a picture and so you can kind of see his legs do swell up. What do you think? Like maybe the size of a golf ball? With the medicine in him for a couple of days, and then as it's distributed throughout his body, it goes down. He feels better. After about a week after infusion, he is got crazy energy. You eat a ton, but other than that, you sleep for the rest of the evening. You probably will fall asleep, and then I'll have to take this out with him asleep. Then tomorrow he'll rest good. And like I said, if he ends up getting sick during the infusion, we do Benadryl, Tylenol for the pain. What helps the most with the pain of the legs if they hurt?
I don't really know.
The ice or the heat?
Yeah.
Which one?
I don't really know.
The heat's your favorite, right?
The heat?
Yeah. The heating pad?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that helps the most. But sometimes it's weird. Sometimes it hurts, and then sometimes it really don't hurt, and it just jiggles, right? So. All right, so we're going to figure out what is going on with this pump, but that's basically it. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Tell them bye.
Bye-bye.